Hello, everyone. You're welcome to the JMA Connections. Today is Friday, and this Friday is the 5th day of December, and the year is 2025. I was looking through the social media columns last night and early this morning to understand the psychic of the key social media activists of neighboring the Republic of Cameroon. And of course, I also had some time discussing with some within Issa Tchiroma Bakari's circles to understand exactly, what their plan for the liberation of their country from the grips of Mr. Paul Biya of the Republic of Cameroon is. You haven't forgotten, certainly, that the 93-year-old diaper wearing nonagenarian genocidaire is putting in place everything to maintain his grip. When I say him, some may think that is because I think that he's consciously doing all of those things. It's true that in his inner self, the man believes that being president is his birthright, and so that staying president until he dies is his God given right. But actually, those who are doing it for him are the members of that CPDM crime syndicate across the Republic of Cameroon and those from the southern Cameroons, those who make up that national ethnic group of less than 3,000 people. And so I discovered a lot coming from the key or the most active resistance groups of the Republic of Cameroon. And when I put that through the scanner with what I gathered from the Tchiroma camp, from the Tchiroma circles, you understand that at some point there is already what we call a divergence of views on the kind of approach that needs to be taken to take Mr. Paul Biya and his gang of Ngaputs out of the place. But folks, before I get to that, before I open that package very quickly, I just got a call while I was getting ready to do this communication from someone in Fundong. Fundong is in Boyo County, and that is a Fundong local government area in the southern Cameroons. And they were informing me that some two soldiers of La République du Cameroun have just been shot dead and their weapons carted away. Minutes after I got that call, I also received a video of the self-defense fighters, of the freedom fighters, the Southern Cameroon's freedom fighters, presenting, their booty, presenting the two war rifles that they collected from the two soldiers who were gunned down. This incident comes on the heels of what happened in Mogamo, in Batibo, just a few days ago. Also comes on the heels of the ones that happened in the Bafut Forest. That's in Mezam County, Bafut local government area, a few days ago. In fact, there are a lot of those incidents happening now across the southern Cameroons. And you see a lot of those talks being rapidly, so quickly trained by the Republic of Cameroon, the genocidal regime of Paul Biya, and sent to the southern Cameroons. They are falling in good numbers. Now, listen, folks. A lot of those ones who are falling, you look at their pictures, you see that these are children, literally babies. In fact, sometimes you need to check their identification papers very well to see if the government of Cameroon is not engaged in war crime by using children as soldiers. You know, using children as soldiers is absolutely condemnable. But for the Republic of Cameroon, they are looking at, the bigger picture. For them, the bigger picture is maintaining the war where it is. They don't care the number of those young people who die because, after all, they are not their children. Their children are all abroad in wonderful schools, receiving good, sound education getting ready to come back and take over from them without any competition. And when they come back, they will they will maintain the same cycle, making sure they recycle the children of the poor people to continue to die every day for them. I said in my broadcast yesterday that, of course, they will continue to have as many young men as possible in the Republic of Cameroon to hire in the army because of the level of poverty. And so they have reached that level where they no longer even announce that the soldiers are dead. There are some families that until today are still believing that their children are in some remote places in the southern Cameroons fighting in the interest of France. Hell no, they don't know that they are dead. Some only discover months after, when the pictures of their children start circulating on social media, that they had been killed and buried a long time ago. Why are they doing so? Because they don't want the families to revolt. But can the families even revolt? No, they are afraid of reprisals. When they die, they just pass around and offer maybe 1 million or 2 in CFA. Sometimes, if it's too much, they even offer less than 1 million for the family to do the funerals. They don't honor those soldiers when they die. They don't care. Those soldiers, to them, they are just like rats. So all they need to do is use them to keep maintaining it. That's why every day a country that is claiming that is being ruled by a so-called Prince of Peace, Apostle of Peace, Mendiant de la Paix, a peace beggar, Mendiant de la Paix, and all of those. That is a country where you see every 3 or 4 months they are hiring new soldiers. Every 3 or 4 months they are recruiting into the army because they are falling every day on several fronts. And now, let's move over to the Tchiroma circles and to the key activists, the key blocks, interest groups of La République du Cameroun. But before I open that package, let me say this. If you are not yet subscribed to this platform, the JMA Connections, go ahead and do that right now. And make sure you personalize the notification so that anytime anything drops on this platform, you will be the first to know. Because, as I always say, when the news breaks, we come here very fast to make greater meaning out of it. And make sure you share the link to this communication and share until you can share no more. We have to continue reaching as many people as possible with the information we share on this platform, because we need our people to be constantly sensitized, constantly mobilized, and constantly moved to understand, and constantly informed of the exact situation around us. Now, for the people of the southern Cameroons, still sending their children to go for recruitment in the army, in the armed forces of the Republic of Cameroon, something is definitely wrong with you. I mean it. I say something is definitely wrong with you. You can find something else for them to do. I know it's really rough out there. I know it's difficult out there. But sending a child to go commit suicide is next to madness. This is something we need to keep sensitizing ourselves about. And this is so important for me, so important for you too. Because at the core of it, we cannot let our children go and be killed by their own brothers. You notice that the freedom fighters in the southern Cameroons have become now more surgical. How often do you hear that they have killed them again? They don't run camps anymore. Now they are full-blown guerrilla fighters. You can't even know them. You can't identify them. They don't live in camps anymore. So those members of the CPDM crime syndicate, who were the conduits in our various communities of La République du Cameroon, going to show the hideout, oh, there's a camp this way, they're hiding here. There's a camp that way, then they surprise them in a camp. We have killed 10, we have killed 5, we have killed 15. No more. You don't hear about that anymore. But my only worry is La République du Cameroon doesn't care. Even if they lose 20,000 men in southern Cameroons, they don't give a damn because those lives don't matter to them. They are not their children. Yes, the members of the crime syndicate, they make sure their children are nowhere close to where these things happen. More and more I have seen activists of La République du Cameroon saying what they want to do, they want to go after any individual, anyone who identifies as CPDM in their communities. I was reading on the social media that they want to burn the homes of all CPDM militants in their communities. Number one. Number two, they are even going after them in all kind of spheres to make sure they totally isolate them and make sure that they are not able to provide the names of all those who are against the Biya system. Because the members of the CPDM party are operating like agents of Sene. You know what it used to call Sene in the days. Like agents of the DGRO, agents of the Secret Service. All CPDM militants everywhere. That is what they do. That is their role. They spy on their neighbors. They spy even on family members and call and give information and they go after you. Listen, folks. I am one person. I will never, ever encourage violence against anyone. We are supposed to have freedom of opinions, freedom of thoughts. But don't forget, in the southern Cameroons, we are at war. And because we are at war, this means, therefore, that you must bear in mind that those who are fighting will carry in their heads the philosophy that you are either for us or you are against us. You are either for us or you are against us. My simple advice, if you are a member of the CPDM party in the southern Cameroons, my gentle advice to you is move out first to the Republic of Cameroon and wait until when tempers and tensions calm down regarding the horrible acts that were carried out, the unfortunate claims made that the people of the southern Cameroons, that the insult made on us, that the people of the southern Cameroons voted when we did not even go out to vote. But not only that they claim that we voted, but that we voted for Paul Biya, for the same genocidaire whose talks are raping our daughters. You saw the letters are presented here from the St. Joseph's Catholic Comprehensive High School in Lansing. You have heard all of those. You see those atrocities everywhere. But that we voted for the man who is responsible for all those heinous acts against us. So there is so much anger in the air. I, personally, I always believe that in the marketplace of ideas, we can have sound exchange and make people understand the need to embrace one school of thought and not the other. But I'm not on the ground. When I hear it, when I see it, I will say it. Because we say, see something, say something. Hear something, say something. That is a way of making sure that everyone is staying safe. But you are a member of the CPDM party. Too often you don't even know it. Those who call themselves the real members of the crime syndicate, those less than 3,000 folks, they use you at the base as a machine, as a robot. And that is how at the end of the day, when you fall, it means nothing to them. They don't care. Human lives means nothing to them. What matters to them is their ability to stay where they are. So over in La République du Cameroon, the people are determining that that is what they are going to do. They are going to focus first on members of the CPDM crime syndicate, their militants everywhere on the territory. This, I will say they're definitely planning to do this in retaliation because people are being whisked, detained, beaten to death simply because they heard them mention the name Tchiroma, or they saw them wearing a cap of the FSNC, or they saw them wearing a t-shirt of the FSNC. There's a young gentleman who hails from Meme, out there in Douala. He went out. Is it in Douala? No, it was in Yaoundé. I was getting mixed up. It's in Yaoundé. I was informed that it was in Yaoundé. He, I'm sure he got up, felt hungry, and just wanted to pick up a t-shirt and wear and run out there to get something and eat. Unfortunately, his hand certainly fell on the FSNC t-shirt with Issa Tchiroma Bakary's effigy on it. He went out to buy his food. They called. He didn't even know. They called the gendarmes. They swarmed the place, arrested him, took him away, beat him to pulp. They beat him, tortured him for days until he died. As I'm talking here, until he died. But the FSNC is a legal political party in Cameroon. The Cameroon government has not yet outlawed the FSNC. Like they outlawed the consortium and the SCNC. They haven't taken that step. Yet, just imagine that you have any sympathy towards that political party, your name becomes death. Yet, they know that they have their militants of the CPDM party wearing CPDM t-shirts, talking trash about Biya up, Biya down, and moving in the community. What they are doing, they are trying to set up the people one against the other. Folks, my dear people, you have to be careful out there. Very careful with respect to what you wear, what you say, and the kind of positions that you take. In Cameroon, there is freedom before speech. But what happens after speech is left for anyone to define. So there is freedom before speech. But after speech, you are on your own. Freedom after speech is not guaranteed. So you better be careful about this. And so that is what I was seeing on the platforms of the social media activists of La République du Cameroun. But the most interesting thing is now the key information that I read from the BAS, that's Brigade Anti-Sardina France. They came out with a clear document in which they are telling Issa Tchiroma Bakary that they noticed that he wants to focus on diplomacy, negotiations, calls here and there, and all whatnot, and peaceful these things, that they believe that that approach will never work, and that they did not invest their energy, invest their effort, cause their brothers and sisters to go out there. Some get killed, and others are still in detention today. Others are simply missing, so that you come and be talking about diplomacy, international organizations, and the likes. So the BAS is saying that they are literally divorcing from Issa Tchiroma Bakary's stance, and they want to look at a different direction as far as the resistance in the Republic of Cameroon is concerned. This should be telling you that anyone who is thinking that we're completely gone past the 2025 presidential election should rethink. Because this means that the people have come to that consciousness that change can never be achieved in the Republic of Cameroon through the ballot box. And that is why another group under a certain Ben Modo are talking about the bullet box. So they say since the ballot box has failed, the bullet box is what may work. So Ben Modo is even announcing that he is preparing to start an armed rebellion in the Republic of Cameroon. I was watching one of the bloggers explain in details what this whole thing is going to look like. Listen, folks, true that the whole thing is laughable because no one announces that I'm starting a rebellion before coming to start it. Usually you expect that if they really want to start that rebellion, they will embrace the element of surprise. While to me, I could see that as social media gesticulation very easily. It's easy to dismiss it like that, but I still sound a word of caution. Sometimes, some people begin by making noise because they are convinced that any rational being like me will not take them seriously. But at the end of the day, things end up going the other way. The outright provocation that you are seeing go on every day leaves me even to think that the system itself really wants some kind of chaos, because there are certainly people within who understands the only way they succeed in running away with everything they've already acquired this far and being let loose by this syndicate, this crime syndicate that has only a way in and not a way out, is to see chaos. So Ben Modo is developing his theories very seriously. He's even come out with a constitution. Ben Modo says that he is not aligned with Issa Tchiroma Bakari. And Issa Tchiroma Bakari and his cabinet do not have any participation in his initiative, he Ben Modo. And he is outlining exactly what he and his forces seek to achieve, and says exactly how at the end of the day he and his forces should be treated. He even outlines a regime of compensation on how at the end of the liberation, when they would have succeeded in kicking the Biya system out, that's where he says they will bring back Issa Tchiroma to come be the president of the transition, which transition he says will be only 2 years, not more than 2 years. And then within that time frame, they should put in place solid institutions that will lead to the organization of a now free and fair election. And now, because they are trying to enlist some weak souls in the southern Cameroon to feel like I need to be part of this project, you hear Ben Modo is not talking of the Republic of Cameroon. It's deliberate. They talk of the Federal Republic of Cameroon. Federal Republic of Cameroon. When I followed what they were saying, I was like, oh, that's interesting. They know that among southern Cameroonians, there are still some people who are still not convinced that the southern Cameroonians have the ability to get exactly what we want. I don't blame them, because there are East Timorians who thought the same like that until East Timor, a country today of less than 1.5 million people. At the time they achieved their independence, they were not even up to 1 million people. But they were fighting against mighty Indonesia. Indonesia had then a population of over 250 million people. 250 million people. But here we are talking of a southern Cameroons with a population of approximately 8 million out of a population of about 30 or official figures say so, about 30 to 33 million. So they know there are some doubting Thomases who still don't believe that the people of the southern Cameroons have what it takes to achieve its independence. It was the same thing in Eritrea. Eritrea took over 30 years. Look at the population of Eritrea. Even until today, I guess they are not up to half the population of the southern Cameroons. Should I say the same thing of the southern Sudan? You also had doubting Thomases. So it is to these doubting Thomases that Ben Modo and others are throwing a bait by saying Federal Republic of Cameroon. And of course, you know that the country is called the Republic of Cameroon right now. And then somewhere inside, you hear say, oh, within the federation, the 10 regions will be maintained. Oh, so it's a 10-state federation. Ah, I see. Okay, I get it, Ben Modo. I get it. Yes, it's a 10-state federation. And then it says after that, there will be a moment of about 10 years. A moment of about 10 years, during which after 10 years, they will organize a referendum in the southern Cameroons. And if the people of the southern Cameroons still really want to stay with the Republic du Cameroon, fine and good. But if they really want to go, then they will grant the people of the southern Cameroon their independence. I was like, I couldn't hold back. I had to reach out on that platform and ask, but wait a minute. You who? Granting independence to who? As what? Because people quickly forget. The southern Cameroons was in the same class I think class 2 or whatever, mixing up that this thing, the same class trust territory as La République du Cameroun. La République du Cameroun was a UN trust territory, the same class as the southern Cameroons were UN trust territories. And the mandate the United Nations gave to the powers that were entrusted to manage the trusteeship, the British, and the French. The mandate given to each of them was to prepare each of these territories for independence. France had to prepare the Republic of Cameroon for independence. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland had to prepare the people of the Southern Cameroons for independence. So what happened in 1961 was a violation of that trusteeship agreement. And the British know it. That is why Zablocki, the American, said that he was congratulating in 1961, after the vote on the 21st of April 1961 at the United Nations, where the majority of the countries voted for independence for Southern Cameroons. He said that he was congratulating, that the United States of America was congratulating the people of the Southern Cameroons on achieving self-determination, which is the will of the people to manage their own affairs, and warned that any attempt to force the people into an unholy union will simply be sowing seeds of future discord, which is what we are seeing today. And so in 1961, when the two parties came together, they said they were two states equal in status. Equal in status. Today, you get some morons come and sit now today and they're telling you that we will give you. That's how people say, we will give you special status. We will give you independence. We will give you this. We will give you federation. No, that is the language that none of us should be ready to listen to, because that is a language of insult. That is provocation. I take time off to explain all of this once in a while, to get back into some of these salient details so that our people are aware of our history, so that our people are aware of the raison d'etre of the struggle of the people of the Southern Cameroons for freedom. We are fighting to regain our stolen country. That's what it is. But again, like I said, we are continuing to lend any form of support we are able to Issa Tchiroma Bakari and his team, as long as their mission is to liberate their own country. Because we want to have neighbors also operating in a healthy environment. We know that at some point we will have to sit around a table to negotiate. And Issa Tchiroma Bakari, if we want to take him by his word, said we will sit down together and look at the root causes of the ongoing genocidal war in the Southern Cameroons. I said it before and I'm reiterating it. Issa Tchiroma Bakari as an individual will not be able to have that power to do what you want. But if Issa Tchiroma Bakari ends up sitting there on the mandate of the people, he could have the ability to do certain things. That is why France is doing everything to make sure they get either him coming at the end of the day, knowing that it was at their behest that he came in, or he never comes in. These are things that we need to know. So Ben Modo is talking, I will still call it gesticulations, insisting that he is preparing to start an armed insurrection in January. He even gave the timeline, the time frame, in January of 2026. So our eyes are wide open. We are watching. But at the same time, the people in Issa Tchiroma Bakari's circle tell me that they are actively working day and night to polish their strategy to kick Paul Biya out of Cameroon. I also followed some information circulating that, Issa Tchiroma Bakari is preparing to, create a Cameroon embassy in the Gambia. And then when he creates a Cameroon embassy in the Gambia, of course, he will now get some space, either is rented or acquired, to be the embassy to host the services of the embassy of Cameroon in the Gambia. Of course, it will be a high commission because the Gambia is a member country of the Commonwealth. And then when that is done, then he will now move into that territory, which would technically become Cameroonian territory and begin governing from there and begin taking measures from there. Now, diplomatically, is that possible? Somewhere it's easy to say yes. You say no, the Gambia is a sovereign country, they can. But if you go by the press release issued by the government of the Gambia, you understand they are unlikely to accept such a move because the creation of diplomatic missions is a reciprocal kind of thing, which means that we come into an agreement, we say, okay, we want to establish closer diplomatic ties. And so I open an embassy in your country, you open an embassy in my country. I believe that the Gambia is being covered by some Cameroon embassy somewhere. Certainly, the Cameroon embassy in Dakar, in Senegal, should be covering the Gambia. Don't forget that at some point, the Gambia and Senegal were one country called Senegambia. So the likelihood of that kind of scenario obtaining, the probability, I should say the probability is almost zero, but never discount anything. When ideas are thrown on the table, never say never, because as long as you breathe air, you may still be hit with a lot of surprises. But it's true that from the diplomatic plane, and judging from that press release, I'm not convinced that such an occurrence is likely. So, folks, this is what I gathered for this morning, because it's 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, my time, and if I go by that, this should be about 5 p.m. West African time. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Share the link of this communication as much as possible and make sure you subscribe so that we continue to, share ideas together on exactly how to attain our collective goal, which is freedom. Thank you very much for your kind attention. To God be the glory.